Hey gang, Jane here. In today's video, I'm taking you right inside my color planning process, the one I use whenever I'm working on a brand new design. My projects usually take a long and twisty route because I really lean into that trial and error thing. But I'm going to give you a little peek behind the scenes in hopes that it helps you when you're choosing colors for your next crochet project. So today I'm going to walk you through how I test my colors, how I adjust when things don't behave the way I expect them to, and how the geometry of the square and the placement of the color have to work together. There's a lot of trial and error, a bit of ripping out, and a whole lot of let's just see what happens. So come along and I'll show you how I got from the spark of the idea to where I finally landed. These colors right here were ones I picked. I call them my rose garden because of these beautiful shades of pink here. And then I have a few greens in here and some earthy tones just to give you that garden-like feel. And of course I have my neutral over here. And I'll have all these colors listed in the description below. This is the palette that I meant to use for my Mandala Breeze, and it's how I started. But as you can tell from the Mandala Breeze, this is not the palette that I ended up with. And that is often how my process goes, is that I start swapping colors in and out, and the next thing I know I have a completely different color palette. And that's kind of how it flows for me. I start with one and then it evolves into something else. So the square and the palette work together. So in this case, I started with these colors, but then I started swapping them out for other colors. And as I was swapping colors out, other colors seemed to fit better. And that is the twisty process to my color palette. However, this palette never really left my mind. It sat on my desk like it was just waiting for its moment to shine. So today we're going to give it the attention that it deserves. There's a real back and forth between design and color. The shapes and the textures really play into it, and all of that affects how the color reads in the design. I just don't look at the shades, but I also look at the values. So when you have two colors that are completely different shades, like a green and a pink, their values can be very close, and therefore there's not as much contrast to the eye when you put them together in the design. So that has to be taken into account as well. This little trick I use of desaturating my photos is a good way to see what your values are. All color placements are valid. It's just understanding how that reads to the eye and what it is you're looking for. So another thing to look at is how light and dark your colors are. Lighter colors can highlight some texture or maybe the medium colors, and dark colors, the texture kind of hides in that because the light doesn't bounce off the dark colors like it does for colors that are much lighter. It becomes a little dance between geometry, stitch placement, and where each color lands in the design. And honestly, that's my favorite part. So for this project, I started full on with the Mystic Gem square. That's the one that I wanted to use with this color palette. Sometimes I'll try a bunch of different squares with a color palette, usually I do, but in this case I hadn't really done anything with the Mystic Gem and I really wanted to give it a shot with this specific color palette. So that was my goal, is to see if I could actually stick to the color palette and make it work with this complex square. So when you're talking about solid colors, they always look different when they are solid blocks in a pattern as opposed to a more complex square where all the colors kind of blend together. So in the Mystic Gem, there's a lot of blending going on, whereas in something, say like the Happy Petal, there's very defined blocks of color, so they look different in the design. I usually go in right off the bat and just throw the colors into the design just to get an idea of what I'm working with. So usually my first square, oddly, is usually one of my favorite ones, but sometimes I rip it out. And I did that this time. I did rip out my first square, but I took a picture of it, a really bad picture of it, just so I could see what I did there. But then I wanted to play around with the colors and I started adding in new colors. Now, if you've been with me for a while, you know I'm kind of a chronic ripper outer. Like I make the square and I rip it back out. And I promised myself I wouldn't do that in this process so that I could show you the process as it goes with actual pictures of the square. So I really had to resist doing the ripping out thing. But that's how I test my colors. So I rarely keep my test squares, unfortunately, which is funny because having them laid out is incredibly helpful. So for this video, I actually made myself keep everything so that I could show you the process clearly. And although I did actually rip a few out, which I shouldn't have, but I did keep most of them. So let me show you some of my thought process here. The Mystic Gem version brings in a lot of color. So right in here is the Mystic Harmony, the original square. And then the Mystic Gem kind of turns it and you go further out. So that brings in a lot more color options, a lot more texture too. And that was my goal, to have a lot of color. I wanted that busy kind of eclectic quilty, scrap quilty look, but I wanted something that would stand out. You know me, like I always pick one thing that's the same in every square. That was this white flower. Every flower was going to be white. I just hadn't decided what I was doing all around the flower. So let's take a look at some of the process that I did here. I did my first square and then I ripped it out, which again, shouldn't have done that because it actually turned out kind of nice. But from there, I decided let's play with some color, which I always do. I can't help myself. So I lean into the color and I introduce this mushroom color here, just as another kind of neutral other than the white. And yes, once again, I couldn't help myself. I was going outside the color palette that I started with. But I was using too much of it, I think. I didn't like how much was going on here. Although it's a pretty design, it wasn't what I was looking for. So then I tried to reduce it a little bit by not having it in this square, and I still didn't really like the mushroom. And I thought, here I am going a little too far into the neutrals. I want to bring the color back in. But I was having trouble figuring out how to bring all that color in and keep the square defined, not too chaotic. So time for a different approach. So I simplified it down. I figured if I just kind of work with a few colors, maybe I can get a better idea of the geometry that I'm looking for. So what I did here is I kept the white flower, I used my neutral beige, and then I just chose this kind of muted burgundy color, a deep green. I also have a little bit of the mushroom in here. I still brought that in to this area. I ended up not using the mushroom in the final design, but it helped me just define the geometry of the square. So what I discovered that I wanted was this center. I wanted it to reflect in these 4 petals. So I liked that idea, I liked how that showed up. And that's what keeping your squares does, is maybe you don't like one element, but you like another element. So then you take the 2 elements you like and you put them together and you see if that works. So in this case, I liked this solid background being reflected back in the frame. And I liked the center and the petals. I liked that part of it. So now I wanted to figure out how to bring all the color back in, and I wanted to get rid of that mushroom color. That was my next goal. I also tried bringing in a darker color, this rich burgundy here. I thought maybe I needed something deeper to go into this. So here I have the mushroom and here I have the burgundy. So that's an option, but now I'm starting to go outside of the color palette that I started with. And I told myself I really wanted to stick to that color palette, and I really think I can. So as pretty as this looked, I decided I'm not going with that. So along this way of trial and error, you do find other ideas for projects. So often when I keep my squares, I think that one isn't working for this one, but it might work for this other one that I'm doing. So that's often how it kind of branches out into more projects. So once I figured out the geometry with that simplified colored square, I decided to come back to just the Mystic Harmony, get all my colors into the Mystic Harmony. Well, not all of them, but work with them all in the Mystic Harmony, and then build out the Mystic Gem. So what I always do is I do 4 squares, and then I take those 4 squares and I turn them into a pillow top size. And that becomes a fabric sample for me. That is the thing that I keep. I have a whole bin of those. And those are the things I pull out when I'm trying to think of a project idea. It's just like having a whole bunch of fabric samples to choose from. And they also make really great pillow covers. So this helps me see what this will look like as a full blanket. So the thing with trying all these different ideas and trying all these different colors is you can think about colors all day long and you can think about how they would work together, but you really don't know until you actually try them. So that is one of my key suggestions to people is don't be scared of the trial and error, because you learn so much by working with colors together that will help you going forward in other projects. So eventually I returned to this base palette for the Mystic Harmony part of the square. Some of the colors I haven't used a lot of, such as the Primrose and there's Sugar Cookie. Those really light ones, I haven't used a lot of those yet, and I'm not sure I'm going to, because they might be too light, but at the same time, once you get a whole bunch of squares, the lights add beautiful color in and contrast. If you have too much of one value, it's not interesting to the eye. So you do need that contrast in value. And that's what that Primrose and the Sugar Cookie offer. So I probably will bring those back in. So I made these 4 squares and I really liked the way the colors were. They could have made a blanket of their own. This is the 4th one here. And then what I did is started working out the Mystic Harmony. So when I look at this one, it's really similar to the 3 color, but I put more colors in there. So I got the look I was looking for, but with more colors in it. So this was just the simple version, and I used that as my example. So this is one of the Mystic Harmony squares I worked on. And then I took it, so basically you end up with the center daisy, the squaring, and then there's 2 rows of color here. That's where we ended up here, this deep beige color. And then what I did is I mirrored the center to the petals. And then the next one was the final round of the Mystic Harmony. I did that around the petals. And then the final 2 rows that borders the entire square, I actually reflected the square itself, this background of the square. Originally, I thought that might be too much of that color, but once you get a whole bunch of squares done, it's not. You're just pulling it all together. And that's where I've ended it. Now, when I did this one, you can see that I went ahead with the final 2 rows, which are just single crochet chain 1s. I did a light color and then I did another dark color. I actually brought the center back in again. But I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm just going to leave the square like this, and that's how I'm going to join them. So we'll know by the end of the video if that's what I did. So my next job is to take these other 3 that I did and do the same thing I did here. So what this does is by doing the same thing with each square, so I'll take this one, has the pink. I will work the petal in the pink. And then this will be in this light peach color. I think it's called pink salt. And then this final edge will be what this square is, the green. So that's the part that I'm going to keep the same idea in each square. So it's very subtle, but your brain does register that if you were to take everything out to black and white, you would see a defined geometric pattern that would be showing up in every square. So once I finish the 4 squares, I usually use one of my join as you go methods to stitch them together. And this is also where I can experiment with the join as you go, because I have a few different versions of that as well. This is where I can play with that. And I'll join the 4 of them together so that I can get a little fabric sample that looks like a mini blanket. And to be honest with you, these are actually great pillow covers. And I've done these type of things as literally mini blankets. I made a really nice blanket for my great niece because she carried it everywhere. Her parents asked if I could make a mini version that they could take when they travel because it's just such a big blanket to travel with. So I think I put together like 9 squares and she uses that when they're traveling. So it's really compact and she feels like she has her blanket with her. So a really great idea to make mini blankets for people that they can hug for any reason, or a pillow cover as well, which is also great to hug. So I'm going to go and work on these 4 squares and then come back and show them to you. I did decide to do an extra round of color on each of the squares. It gave me space to put a little more color in and mirror the color from the 3rd round out to the outer edge. I joined them using my join as you go with the white so that all the colors popped, but you could use any of the colors for the join. It would just give it different looks. Let's take a final look at the value just for fun. It really shows you how the geometry of the square is changed depending on the color placement. I love to mix my colors up in each square, so this will give the entire blanket a very eclectic look. But maybe you have 1 or 2 you like the best and you can make an entire blanket with just those squares. There are so many options here. So that's the full journey of my Rose Garden palette and how it plays with the Mystic Gem design. I hope seeing the trial and error side of it gives you a bit of confidence when you're planning your own colors. How to put them together, allowing yourself to rip it out, or even better, hang on to them so you can see all your experiments laid out together. I hope this inspires you to stick with it, allow yourself to make mistakes because sometimes those mistakes are the ones you'll use for other projects. It's not about getting it perfect on the first go. It's never perfect the first time I go at it. It takes a lot of experimenting. It's about playing, adjusting, and letting the colors tell you where they want to go. If you want to see more of how I swatch, the colors I'm working with, and all those behind the scene bits, I share everything over on my Patreon. You'll find my samples with their color info there, and I'd love to have you join us. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.